we are watching President Biden today doing something that hasn't been done before by a president.
Yeah, be a very interesting week. President Biden today, former President Trump tomorrow. In just a few hours, President Trump will join striking auto workers on the picket lines. President Biden will. The president will meet with union members in Wayne County, Michigan. Sources tell NBC News. UAW President Shawn Fain is expected to be there as well. Tens of thousands of United Auto Workers walked off their jobs nearly 2 weeks ago after their contracts with General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis expired. They are demanding higher wages and better benefits, which President Biden says he supports.
I think the UAW gave up an incredible amount back when the automobile industry was going under. They gave everything from the pensions on, and they saved the automobile industry. And I think that now that the industry is roaring back, they should participate in the benefit of that. And if you take a look at the significant increase in salaries for the executives and growth of the industry, they should benefit from it. So yes, I always support the UAW.
According to the White House, this is the first time a sitting president has visited a picket line in modern times. Not the first time for Biden. In 2019, when he was running for president, Biden joined strikers, including a UAW picket line in Kansas City. Joining us now, Democratic Senator Debbie Stabenow of Michigan. Senator, it's good to have you with us. Obviously, huge impacts of this strike across your state for those companies, for all the people who work there, and for the auto workers. What is the significance of the president being there today?
Well, Willie, it's always great to be with all of you. Let me just start by saying it is historic that we have the President of the United States that will be joining with the union on the picket line. He's actually been overseeing the largest manufacturing renaissance in our history for all of us in our lifetimes right now, creating more jobs. We want to make sure they're good-paying jobs. On the other side, you have Donald Trump, who said, when we were pushing and doing the auto rescue, which I was deeply involved in, Donald Trump said, let him go bankrupt. And by the way, instead of the autos lowering their costs by sending jobs to Mexico, they should just move to southern states with non-union plants. So this is the guy that's coming in on Wednesday night to a non-union facility to say he supports our workers. So I'm really glad that President Biden is in Michigan today. The president of UAW is welcoming him with open arms, as are the members, and I think it's important.
Senator, good morning. Let's set aside the politics for a second and talk about the economics of this strike that is now 2 weeks on. Doesn't seem that there's been much progress made. Give us the latest you've heard, though, from the negotiating table, but also your concerns that if this strike does continue, what will that mean for the state of Michigan and the country?
Well, great question. I think there is progress being made. I mean, certainly the UAW leadership has specifically said that there's a movement with Ford, which has caused them not to expand the strike with Ford. I know they're still working diligently with GM and Stellantis to get things done as quickly as possible. We need our industry to be successful. We also need our workers to be successful and fully share in what's happening. And in the long run, strikes are always hard, for sure. But in the long run, having better pay, having better benefits is going to help the economy. I mean, that we put more money in people's pockets, and then they're going to be able to take care of their family. They're going to go out and buy more things. It's not trickle-down economics, which Donald Trump and the Republicans embrace. It's focusing on the middle class, and that really is what the strike is all about.
Senator, good morning. You were not among the 28 senators who called for joint EV battery plants to be included in the UAW contracts. Explain where you stand in this position and why you didn't join that letter.
Well, first of all, I strongly support that. Senator Peters and I sent our own letter from the Senate. There was a House letter that went out. I strongly support that. It's very important that whether it's a facility like what's being proposed in Marshall, Michigan with Ford, where they are contracting for technology, or whether it's a joint venture, we need to make sure that the UAW, that workers are fully a part of what's going on. And that means under the overall agreement with the UAW, and they need to fully participate in the future. And because, let me just say, too, that our colleagues on the other side of the aisle talk about China all the time. China is rushing into this market. They're now making more EVs than we are seeing from anybody else, and they are trying to get into the United States. And the truth is, eventually we're going to have electric vehicles. The question is, are they American-made or Chinese-made? And we want them to be American-made. This president is leading an effort on production incentives to make sure the batteries are here, to make sure we are focused here on making things in America. I mean, that's the vision.
And as we say, President Biden will be there a short time from now in the state of Michigan in support of those striking auto workers. Senator, I want to ask you about one of your colleagues, Senator Robert Menendez of New Jersey, indicted the other day on serious charges of bribery. Just within the last 5 minutes, your friend and colleague, Senator Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin, announced she believes that Senator Menendez should step down, that he should resign. That makes 4 Democrats, also Nancy Pelosi on the other side. What's your view on this? Should he resign?
Well, first of all, these are very serious charges, no question about it. And I believe that Senator Menendez, that the people in New Jersey will have the ultimate decision on this. But let me also say, Willie, that we're not attacking the FBI. We're not attacking the Justice Department. We take this very, very seriously, counter to what is happening with Republicans in terms of protecting Donald Trump and going after our justice system. So we need to be focusing on making sure the system works.
Your former colleague, Claire McCaskill, was here saying, look, as a United States Senator, you can't have somebody pay for your lunch, let alone the things that Senator Menendez is accused of here. So, yes, he'll have his day in court, but the point that Senator Baldwin made a few minutes ago is just the lapse in judgment, and the ethics piece of it means he should step down. Do you agree?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, we will let this move forward this week, and we'll see what happens.
So not yet for you?
Not yet.
Okay, we'll see. Eddie, what do you think?
Well, I wanted to ask you this question, Senator Gustavin. How can you justify, saying not yet, given the way in which Democrats have responded to Donald Trump? Given the crisis we face as a democracy, it seems to me.
Well, we face a very serious democracy, and I don't see anyone, Senator Menendez or any of us, attacking our democracy or being out there promoting January 6th or saying that President Biden wasn't duly elected or suggesting violence against the Joint Chiefs of Staff or the FBI or the Justice Department. So in my judgment, I mean, this is something that we will thoughtfully address on our side, but we are not in any way, looking at these things the way the people on the other side are doing in terms of attacking the Justice Department in our very, very democracy, which, as you know and have said so many times, is under attack. We have to take this very seriously. It's like nothing we've seen before, frankly. And we've got to make sure that these folks are not in charge in the House going forward and that Donald Trump is not reelected.
Senator, and as for your colleagues in the House and the potential government shutdown, do you see a way forward with this, or are we going to have a shutdown?
Well, we're very, very concerned about a shutdown and what it looks like from the House of Representatives last night. I will say, let me give a shout out to the Senate. We have been working together in a bipartisan way. Every single one of the 12 appropriations bills have been brought out of committee, almost all of them unanimously brought to the floor. It's historic. And I should just note that we have a Republican ranking member, Susan Collins, and a Republican or Democratic chair, Patty Murray, 2 women. And it's the first time the budget since I've been here has been on time and on budget.
Yeah.
Just saying. Just saying.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, So we are moving ahead. We are working. We've been working all weekend, Senator Schumer, Senator McConnell, to come forward now with what will be a very short term, unfortunately, continuing resolution. And we certainly need to be also addressing Ukraine and disasters. There's a number of things that the House needs to join join us in terms of doing their jobs. But we will send something to them, and then, frankly, this is up to Speaker McCarthy. Does he want to govern? Does he want to work with Democrats to be able to stop a shutdown or not? The last time the Republicans caused a shutdown, it cost $11 billion to our economy. And I sure hope that's not going to happen again.
All right, Democratic Senator Debbie Stabenow of Michigan, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And